My name's Gary. I work for Langang and work in the Chinese gaming industry for over 6 years. And I think today we can talk about the MMO games because it's quite phenomena in China. And I think some people maybe heard about it. So maybe we can I will try to give you more ideas about it. And let's get started. So today we will have 4 parts. First part, we will give you some overall ideas about MMO mobile games and their social system inside. And another part is about we will try to compare the Chinese and the Western social systems, so you can tell what's the difference between them. And after that, we will do the quick case study to give you more ideas about it. And after that, and finally, we'll give you some maybe advice or conclusion about today's topic. So, first part, mobile games and their social systems. Okay, so let me put it in very simple words. MMO just means a lot of users. And they are playing games online. And in the meantime, they can interact with each other just inside the game, not outside the game. I think most of Western games, they rely on third parties like media or just like Facebook, like Twitter, to let your users to interact with each other, right? Because that means you will save a lot of money because you don't have to develop your own social games inside of your games. But for these MMO games, we prefer to let this user try to stay as longer as possible in the game. And that means they have to active link the internet and always connect with each other. And finally, the most important part is just interaction. So I think that's the very key word for this topic. And why MMO? You can see that MMO, actually Chinese App Store is kind of reach the top 1 compared to other market in the world. So according to App Annie's data, so you can see that 75% of the revenue from Chinese App Store comes from games, and most of them are MMORPGs. So you can see the charts. It's very easy to understand. Over 30% of the Chinese games are mobile games, especially in the top 20. So it's easy to understand why Chinese companies, they are dedicated to develop more MMO games. Especially right now, the user acquisition cost is pretty high. So when you try to get these users in the very beginning, why do you want to let them just leave your games to interact in other social platforms? So you should try to keep them inside the games. So that means you will have better retention rate, pay rate. So you can see that this social system, we just take 2 examples in our game. So you can see that 2 players, they can get married inside the game. And they can also become the swan brothers inside the game. That means these 2 players will try to build up the stronger relationship with each other, right? In this virtual world. And in the meantime, you will have a lot of social pressure from maybe your wife, your husband, or your brothers. Why don't you get online tonight? Because we can go through the task or quizzes with each other. And normally, these gaming companies, or maybe just like our company Lancome, we will encourage our users to interact more with other players. We will provide more gifts, more like benefits if they build up further relationship with each other, and then they go through the quest with each other. So that means you can keep your users to get online like every day, even like over 6 hours per day. So it's pretty good idea to try to set up the social systems inside your game. So like I mentioned before, if you build up more social systems, that means you will get higher retention rates. And of course, if these users are willing to stay inside the games for longer time, that means they are willing to pay more. Because just imagine a situation, if you go to the shopping mall for a whole day, do you need to buy something to eat, buy something to drink? Because you spend a lot of time inside the game. And normally for these hardcore games or MMO games in China, players are willing to stay inside the game over 6 hours per day. So I think it's quite a long time. And so if they are willing to stay for such long time, that means they are willing to pay or buy something and interact with their friends more. And let's talk about the part 2, the Chinese and the Western social system. I think there is very important about culture. So I think that can explain why Chinese developers develop these MMO games in the very beginning. Because just imagine if you grow up in Western countries. Of course, I wouldn't say that everyone is like a social butterflies. They are good at picking up girls in the bars, right? But at least, from my perspective, I think you trained when you were young. So you are not shy. You are more confident to talk to strangers on the streets or in the elevators. But for Asia people, no, because it's about culture. So people prefer to play games and networking or pick up girls behind the screen. So that's why you can see these two pictures. So normally Chinese people are willing to play games even when they are in the social events, and they think they are more comfortable with it. And but for Western people, if you feel bored, you will just hit the bars and get some drink. But it's not Asia culture. So, and another thing is about lacking of entertainment. I think in China is developing country. So that means people are lacking of entertainment. So they don't know what to do during weekends or after work. So they are willing to spend a lot of time, play games, and interact with others inside the game. So take this factor into consideration. So that's why Chinese developers are willing to spend so much money to develop or try to create these social games to let their users to stay in the game. And just do some very quick comparison. So you can see that for Chinese games, like our Day of Break, actually users can interact with their friends, or maybe team members inside the game, and they just stay inside the game. But for maybe Candy Crush or other Western games, of course, they will also try to integrate some social system inside, but normally just very limited. So still rely on like Facebook or Twitter to let their users to interact with each other. So let's go to the case study, our Lancôme's game day of break. So you can see that the pay rate is pretty high. And I think that's the main reason. The main reason behind it's about the retention rate. If the users are willing to stay your games, that means they are willing to pay after that. Because just imagine if you play games with your friends, if you are weak, if you are not strong enough, how could you help your friends or girls you want to pick up, right? So if you see, wow, there is a beautiful girl over there, you want to maybe try to know her or something like that, you can offer the help. Maybe we can go through the class or task. Let me help you. So, and these MMO games, normally we will try to build in the real-time voice systems. That means maybe you can just use the text chat with each other. And in the meantime, you can also use the voice. You can speak to your partners, your team members to help with each other in the real time. And so I just introduced some of the systems inside the game. So just imagine. So I think a lot of people just think Chinese games are all about just PK, one-on-one PK. Actually, no. Actually, there are different styles to try to let more users to interact with each other, like maybe PvP or group, VS group, GVG. So for every server, we will build up a leaderboard to let every users to know that which one is the best or top 100 inside the game. And so that means they can show off to their friends. And for the group, VS groups, it's the same thing. And in the meantime, you can also use other, maybe I would say more positive interaction system like marriage or Swan Brothers or master and apprentice. So if you build out this first relationship, that means people can interact with each other and try to find your best friends inside the game, and you can get extra benefits from it. So let's move on to the last part. How to build up appropriate in-game social system in MMOs. So I think my advice is pretty simple. So if you want to let users to interact with each other more, you should not just let them. Maybe you just set out some system inside the game, but you have to consider how to let them team up with each other to go through the conquest or play with each other. That means every users will have social pressure from others. So if you didn't go online today, others will use WeChat or Line or WhatsApp to ask you to go online. We can play games together. So I think that's very important, not just for PvP. You also need to take PvE or tournaments, this kind of stuff in the to consideration. And another part is about highly interactive communication. So maybe just like I said, if you let your users to maybe use the channel inside the games to use to chat with each other, maybe by text or by voice, so people can force to build up better relationship with each other. So I think these ideas are, although maybe it's not that easy to apply in the very beginning, but if you try to do that, maybe your games will quite different compared to others. And we can also see that like Electronic Arts, they also try to build up this social system into their games already. So maybe just think about it. I hope this session will help you to build up more unique games after that. Thank you. So maybe if you have any question, we can talk about it.
Thank you, Gary. So anyone have questions for Gary?
So first of all, thank you, Sheshe, for your presentation. Really very insightful. And I have a question relating to all the social systems, like the chats and all the interactions. I can imagine it becomes quite complex. And how would you do onboarding, like in these games? How would you show players these features and get them engaged? Because it must be a lot of things to learn at the very beginning of such an MMO on mobile.
Okay. So just like I mentioned before, for these MMO games, they are like the master and the apprentice system as well. So when you join a game, of course, this virtual world is pretty big. Just imagine, like, there are so many people around, and there are some high level and low level characters around you. But normally, we will provide like incentive or gifts for these higher level characters, players. If you are willing to lead your apprentice, you can get more gifts or bonus or other motivation to let them do that. So they can lead their apprentice to go through the quest. So that's what I said before. It's pretty good way to pick up girls for guys if you are good at games. So in the meantime, you can also give out a lot of items to your apprentice. That means they will level up sooner. So that will help them to stay in the games as well. Because if they can play well, of course, they are willing to stay.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask you about virtual reality. Are you trying some kind of, creating a games for virtual reality already in the Chinese market? Because I don't actually know even if the HTC Vive is already popular in China or it's just starting. How do you see this market?
Okay. So actually, I think there are a lot of Chinese developers are dedicated to develop VR content. But I think right now, for bigger Chinese gaming companies, right now, they didn't put a lot of resources to develop VR games because I'm not so sure it's right or not, but right now, it's hard to interact with others in the VR games. Right now, it's a little bit antisocial. I'm not so sure it's right, but still, right now when you put out your glasses, your gadgets, you act all by yourself. Right now it's hard to build up the social systems in these VR games. So of course, a lot of companies are looking for the direction for it, but I don't think there's answer just now. And right now, I don't think these VR devices are quite popular in China. Although, still, you can see them in a lot of exhibitions or stores, but it's not very popular right now. So everyone want to try it, but it's hard to ask them to buy it at the moment. Yeah, thank you.
So I actually have 2 more questions.
Okay.
So the first one is, what would you think will be the next evolution phase for social systems in MMOs in China? Would you say it will be user-generated content or another stronger way to tie between players, better than like marriage or, just texting each other?
Right now, just imagine these MMOs, when you develop to some extent, they will try to combine or integrate more advanced technology inside. Like maybe they will integrate like VR technology or AR or VR AR technology or localization-based services. Maybe if you just go to different places to play your MMOs, you can like PK with specific players, or they will show up different or unique gifts or monsters around you. So I think for these MMO games, that there are still a lot of things can be integrated inside the game.
Yeah, because there's a lot of data. Even the geolocation data is very specific, and I can tie specific content for specific players.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Gary.
Okay.
Let's head.
Thank you.